We had a chance to catch up after the spring season. Just give us a little bit of a recap from the spring and some of the highlights that you saw.
Yeah, it was a good spring. We ended up going undefeated in the spring, played some good competition, a few GPAC opponents, and I just thought we had a lot of guys step up. A lot of guys play in positions maybe they hadn't played before in the fall or before in their career, and we had a lot of guys who also maybe didn't play many minutes during the fall or earlier in their career step up and play significant time during the spring. And we also really used our entire bench. I mean, everyone in our squad played during the spring, and I thought we did well. Not only simply going undefeated during the spring, but we didn't concede many goals. I think we conceded 2 all spring, and that was in the last game of the spring. So it was a good goals against record as well.
Last year the team moved up to 5th in the GPAC. He had a school record number of GPAC wins. The next hurdle seems to be advancing in the GPAC playoffs. How does that kind of season-ending loss motivate the guys? Some of them have experienced that now a couple of years. How do you think that is motivating them this offseason?
I think it's been a driving force. I think really just leaves a bad taste in our mouth. We've been pretty dissatisfied with where we finished and knew that we were capable of more. And I think that provided a lot of hunger for the offseason. I think we had guys who really worked hard, whether it was getting touches outside of anything or working hard in the weight room. We just had guys who were dedicated to want to advance farther and have their season end on a better note. So that's the challenge. Is in the NAI and any league, everybody except for one team ends their season with a loss. So there aren't many that get to end with a win. We just want to find a way to have that loss happen much, much later. So.
At the same time, you're one of 4 teams in the GPAC that has an active streak of 10 wins or more in 3 straight seasons. So you have to be, how proud are you of kind of where the program has come, where you feel like you can compete with anybody, even some teams that are top 25 caliber?
Yeah, you're right. We have taken a step forward as a program, I think, and I think for us, we're just not satisfied, though. We want to take the next step, and we feel like it's an important season for us to take that next step. But there's no doubt that we feel confident coming into any opponent. You mentioned even top 25 foes. I think when we first got here, there was a bit of apprehension on our team's part to play good teams, and we maybe played with a lot of fear. But I think that's one thing we've changed over the last couple of years is we're confident going into those games and know that we can win those games.
Gideon Sankson and Chris DeFider are 2 guys you talked a little bit about in the spring, and 2 of the more experienced players on the team. What do you like about how they've progressed? And I know you like the work ethic that both of them have.
Without a doubt. They're hard workers. I think they help set the tone for the rest of the team, and a lot of guys follow suit with what they do in the off season, working hard, getting tons of touches. I'm not sure if many players on our team get more touches than Gideon Sankson in the off season. So those guys kind of set the bar pretty high for working hard. But they're just big time players. I think they have the skills, they have leadership, they have the drive. They're good student athletes.
You also talked a little bit about Mark Campbell switching roles. How comfortable does he look? And now that he's had close to a full season last year anyway in college.
He's comfortable right away. Mark's one of those guys that on day one of arriving, you could see he felt somewhat comfortable already and was able to kind of impress his mark on our team, and you could see those leadership capabilities come out right away. And I think he's definitely settled in. It didn't take him long, and settled into not only where he's at within the team, but settled in socially, settled in from being far away from home. So
you mentioned how well you played defensively in the spring. Is that something you see as the biggest strength of the team, especially with Nathan Douglas gone? Is the offensive part of it a little bit of a work in progress, or do you like the balance overall?
I think it'd be a good balance, honestly. I do think we will improve defensively because, like you said, we didn't lose a whole lot from graduating seniors, just a couple, and I think our defensive record will be better. But ultimately, we did rely a lot on Douglas in terms of what he did in front of the net, and he scored a significant amount of goals last year for us. And I think a lot of guys just turned to him for the answer all the time. And I think that was one thing we did this spring, was trying to figure out how to play without Dougie. And I think it'll still be a challenge moving into the fall, but I think we took a step in the right direction this spring. And I think despite losing a guy who scored that many goals and has been such a vital component, I think this is when you see the rest of the team step up, newcomers step up, and I think we'll score in different ways and probably from a multitude of positions rather than last year we kind of scored from our true number 9, and this year I think we'll score from a lot of different positions.
This is a more junior and senior laden team than maybe you've had since you've been here. How do you expect that dynamic to pay off on the field?
I think it's invaluable. If you look at a freshman versus when they're a junior or senior, they're bound to be better. If they're the right student athlete and they're working hard during the off season, they're bound to get better. And I think we've taken a team that was largely freshmen and sophomores and thrown into the fire, and they've had a couple years to work and gel together, and it hasn't always been seamless, but we're getting to that point where I think we really understand each other. Our team chemistry, I think, is moving in the right direction. So I think it'll come and pay off big, especially in some tough moments. Every season has tough moments when your back's up against the wall or just things aren't quite going the way you want them to. And I think when you have upperclassmen like that and that many, I think they've been through some of those things before and they know how to respond appropriately.
Who are some other guys that we haven't mentioned that you could really see maybe coming up with a breakthrough season?
I could see Dean Stevens having some goals in him. I could see, I think Justin Lowry has been really a staple of our defense over the last couple of years, and I think he has the ability to get forward too from a defensive role, and I think he could provide some attack for us moving forward. I think Sean Doran could get back to his freshman year. He scored quite a few goals, and I think from a center back position, I think he could do that again this year. I think we've had some guys step up, like Will Gabbert, played a much bigger role this spring, and I think is kind of positioned himself to do that again this fall. But I think we've got guys all over the place who are ready and hungry.
As far as the class of newcomers, what do you hope to get out of them? Obviously, they'll be competing with a lot of veteran players.
It'll be tough. I think we're going to have a couple newcomers who will help us right away, and some will take a little bit more time to impact the team. But it's a challenge, I think, to step in, especially into a veteran squad where they have to really shine. But I think the nice thing about our team is I think our guys will welcome them quickly, and they'll quickly feel comfortable. And once they feel comfortable, it's just a matter of showcasing what they have.
Now, your coaching staff has some changes with a new graduate assistant, Nico Luque, and also have Nathan Douglas stick around to help out a little bit. What will they bring to the table?
A lot. I'm pretty excited not only about the team, but I'm excited about the staff we have. I think that we've got some really good assistant coaches, and that helps me. That helps our players, and I'm excited about it. I think from a new graduate assistant to Douglas still being around, and like you said, he might not be helping us scoring goals, but I think he can help us in other ways, and I think he can help nurture goal scorers and help just really nurture our whole team. And then even Nick Holmes, who's been a part of our staff, but in a smaller capacity over the last couple of years. We're excited to have him step into a bigger role within the staff. So I just think the staff is really good.
Break down the schedule outside of the conference a little bit. You have a couple home games to start with, and then you go on the road for a while. What do you see to the advantages you have from that schedule?
Well, I think some of the advantages are we play a few games back to back, and that's sometimes similar to you'll see later in the postseason play, even into the national tournament. You see some of that stuff. So I think it kind of mirrors what could happen later in the postseason. But those first couple home games are nice, just because it's good to open up at home. Honestly, guys are so excited about the first game. It could be played, on Mars. They wouldn't care. They're just excited to play. But it certainly is nice to play in front of your home crowd those first couple games. And then going on the road for, I think, 4 or 5 games, it seems like, will be a good test, to do that away from home and against some really good competition. We go down to Hastings to play some top 25 type teams, non-conference teams, in a tournament down there. So, we'll get thrown to the fire right away with some of our road competition.